Hi there, Leah Wilson-Felis here. I'm going to do a tutorial for the YogaWall. My YogaWall is a bit different than the YogaWall at Yoga Studio Satya or the traditional patented version, but it pretty much is the same, so I'll be very descriptive as we go through our movements today. We're going to start with our belt, our pelvic belt attached at the very top plate. So on my wall it's plate 4. Excuse me, and we want our belt to be close to the floor but at about an inch off of the floor, so hovering off of the ground with the weight of your foot on it. So I'll give you a moment to arrange your belt to an inch off of the ground. We typically use a blanket for this work so that we have the ability to slide on the floor, and so we're going to begin our practice in legs up the wall. There's many ways to do this, so it's legs up the wall with spinal traction. So we'll begin to bring ourselves down to the floor and bring ourselves right up to the wall. We want to lay back so that our head and shoulders are on the carpet. Our feet are on the wall, and we'll do a gentle bridge to lift our hips and bring the belt underneath our back. So we want our feet to be separated here, and we need to arrange the pelvic belt on a spot across our sacrum and across the top of the ilium bones, which are the hip bones. So if you find that it's uncomfortable, just rearrange it a couple times until you find the right spot for you. So while we're here on the yoga wall, we'll begin to just find our spot and find a moment of stillness and bring our hands onto the belly and begin to feel the expansion of the belly as we breathe in and feel the relaxation of the belly as we breathe out. Let's just take a couple more deep breaths here, allowing the blood to leave our feet, allowing our circulatory system to be challenged, and allowing our spine to be gently lengthened with the use of gravity. And while we're here, we'll just gently start to move our back from side to side, just sweeping our hips across the wall from left to right. Grab onto your straps and pull them towards you so that your feet and legs can slip behind them. We'll bend our knees so that our feet come together. The outer pinky edges of your feet might be on the wall, with your knees apart, in something that resembles Baddha Konasana. Our head and shoulders remain on the floor, feeling the inner thighs stretch. Breathing in and breathing out. If you'd like to feel a little bit more sensation, then you'll take your feet and widen them out outside of the straps, and then wrap just your lower leg, so your ankle, the outer edge of your ankle or the outer edge of your calf muscle on the front of the strap, so that the lower leg is on the front aspect of the straps, and the back of the legs, or the top of the legs, the thighs, are on the back side of the strap. So that might just give you a little bit more pressure on the inner thighs, but if you find that the belt is wrapping around your thighs and causing it to hurt, then you might choose to do this a different way or with your feet behind. From here, let's add a little gentle pedal. I place my hands on its respective knee and start to press into the right knee, releasing the left, and then press into the left knee, releasing the right. Back and forth, just allowing the hips to lift and cinch the back. each side. And if you'd like, you can add a little sweep from left to right here, rocking. That's the cool part with the belt, is that you can really allow yourself to explore and have some fun. But gravity is doing so much of the work here as we have this space underneath the belt and a little incline underneath our back. If from here you'd like to go further and feel more in the inner thighs, you can certainly lengthen the legs outward, allow your heels to rest on the wall, your knees and toes to kind of flex. And that protects the knee joint. You can really feel the inner thigh stretching there. Maybe lengthening the hands up over the head, stretching from side to side. We'll start to bring our feet back together, grab onto the straps, lengthening the legs back up. We'll begin to bend our knees, bringing our feet flat onto the wall, but keeping our hips in the belt. Grab onto your straps so that you stay in the belt. Press down into your head and your shoulders so that you slide back on your blanket. Walk your feet down the wall so that your knees are resting on the wall and your toes and feet are flat. Your hips are still held by the belt. Head and shoulders still flat. And you're in an assisted bridge pose. We call it Setu Bandhasana. So you can reach down and try to tickle your heels. Maybe try to pull your shoulders back a little bit deeper into the floor beneath you. Open the chest up. And breathe into that pose. Let your hips just be heavy so that your lower back can really curve over that belt. I will take it to the next step, but if you're loving this pose, always feel free to stay here or come back to this. If you'd like to take this a bit further, grab onto your straps. Start to lengthen your legs, rolling onto the top of your head. You can always place your head or your shoulders on a bolster. That's always a good option if it hurts to bring your head all the way to the ground. But this is really, with lengthened legs, it is really lengthening our back towards the yoga wall. And if you'd like to come into a full fish pose, you can bring your hands into a volleyball bump underneath you and try to bring your pinky fingers down to the floor, really opening up your chest. Remember to modify for whatever you're feeling in your body. So if there's too much in your chest, you might keep your hands here on the straps or on your belly or reaching up overhead. If it's too much on your low back, you might walk your feet up the wall to about plate 1. So there's a lot of different options that you can explore in this posture. When you have had enough, bend your knees, lift your head, come back onto your shoulders and your head on the blanket and start to slide back into the wall. You'll come back to legs up the wall. Flex your toes, pulling your heels away from the wall. Point your toes to the ceiling. Just work your ankles, your calves a little bit here. We'll bend our knees, lift our hips so that the belt comes back to the wall and begin to slide back a little bit so that you can start to lay your back directly onto the floor, flat, and you'll feel a really lovely flush of blood go down the back of your hips, your low back. And we'll transition next to sitting on our blanket, still facing the wall. bring the belt behind your shoulder blades. And bring your arms over top the belt, bringing your feet onto the wall at about plate 1, or on a traditional yoga wall it might be plate 2, with the feet just kind of flat, the knees bent. If you'd like, you can support the head and lean back into the belt. You can lean from side to side. We'll bring the hands up the strap. Start to inch yourself a bit closer. Find the spot that you would balance on in boat pose. Right on the tailbone, right on the sits bones. And if you want, your feet can stay flat, or if you want to feel more in your hamstrings, you can roll onto your heels, pulling your toes away from the wall. I like to reach my hands straight up into the sky, and it creates one of the best boat poses, Navasana, that you'll ever see. I always am so impressed with my students when I see their perfect V shape in this posture. I like to lean my body to the right and to the left, back and forth. We'll grab onto the straps, bend the knees to the chest, sliding your blanket in, sliding your hips all the way to the wall, lengthening your legs, reaching up for your toes. So this becomes an assisted forward fold. The belt is really helping you come into this, this forward fold. It becomes like a Padangustasana or Paschimottanasana. My favorite thing to do here is interlace the fingers, bring your elbows out, hands behind the head. Bring your elbows together now, wrapping around the head, and try to reach the tips of your elbows towards your thighs. I feel it in my neck, my lower back, and of course the hamstrings and calves. When you've had enough, grab onto the straps. Bend your knees and bring your feet together into another version of Baddha Konasana. Start to press into our feet, lifting our hips and lengthening our legs. Pressing back here and starting to rappel, walking down the wall, dropping the legs, the hips towards the wall, reaching up for Dandasana, staff position. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, reach through the belt towards the wall, towards your toes. Round over. Let the belt just sit on your back. And we'll release the belt. Alright, for our next posture, we're going to be going into a back bend. Your belt is still at the same level. We want to turn out into the belt so that the belt is in front of us. We're going to start to walk out into the belt so that it's on the hips where it would be for like a spinal traction downward dog. This is going to be an assisted puppy pose. So bring the hands flat on the floor. Start to walk your feet back towards the wall so that the feet are flat and the knees are bent. Begin to walk your hands forward. I have a bolster here, and then we'll start to melt the chest and the head or the forehead or the chin towards the floor. Coming into melted heart, a back bend. The back is bending towards the floor here. And we'll take a couple breaths. Lift the tailbone. Rest the forehead. And we'll start to press back up. Slide your hands back underneath your shoulders. We're coming into a bind. Reach the right hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale, pressing into the left hand, hips still in the belt. Exhale, thread the needle underneath the left, dropping onto the right shoulder. Maybe your left hand slides out towards the room. Maybe your left hand reaches up towards the sky. Maybe the elbow bends and you bring your hand to your low back. Find whichever version you like. Return the left hand back down to the floor. Slide the right hand back out, up towards the ceiling, and drop the right hand back into the floor. Left hand reaches up towards the sky. Big inhale as you press into your right hand. Exhale, thread the needle underneath the right arm. Left shoulder, left side of the face is on the floor. Right hand is on the floor as well, right by your nose. But there's lots of other options, so the right hand can certainly lengthen out, or lengthen up to the sky, or bind to the low back. With whichever version you choose, let's take 3 deep breaths. Making sure the hips are still held in the belt, the knees are level on the floor. Return the right hand back to the floor. Do a little push-up, bringing yourself back to plank. This is a great way for people to learn about chaturanga arms. Chaturanga is a very difficult yoga pose, and I've seen so many people injure their shoulder with that. So the idea is to not let the shoulders collapse forward, to not cave the chest, because then we put too much strain on the tendons on the front of the shoulder. So we want to roll our shoulder blades back. So you might squeeze the shoulder blades up, kind of rounding the back, and then slide them down away from your ears. Press your feet onto the wall so that the knees lift. You want to slide your hands back a little bit because you want your elbows to point back. You want your forearm to become parallel to the wall, and you want your upper arm to become parallel to the floor. So as we press back up, thankfully with the YogaWall, we don't have a whole lot of pressure on our hands here. So let's try that again, keeping the elbows rolled in and underneath the arms. And then they simply bend so that the shoulders come forward at a 90-degree angle. Coming back up, back forward into that chaturanga arm. So when I come into chaturanga, I'm hovering a good 6 inches, however high my forearm is off the floor. Alright, so from here let's engage the back. Squeeze the glutes a little bit, push onto the wall, and start to lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms, lifting the hands away from the floor, and we'll drop the hands back down. If you like that, you can try it again, holding for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the hands. Drop the knees. And start to walk forward so that the pressure comes off of the belt. We'll take that belt back behind us. For our next posture, you're going to need your pillow, maybe a yoga block or a yoga bolster. So I'm going to use a yoga block for this move. We've done a lot of work with the quads, the hips, the hamstrings and the hips, but we're going to do the quads next. So we need to arrange our belt a bit higher. I usually tell my students to arrange it to the kneecap. So if you're using a traditional YogaWall, you'll lift the silver buckle and pull on the tail until the belt raises up. You want to do that equally on each side so that the belt raises up to your kneecap. With the pressure of your foot in it, you might bring it down just a little bit, so find a spot that feels good for you. I like to bring it around plate 1 on my wall, might be plate 2 on yours. And so I'm going to do my right leg first, facing out away from the wall. I'm going to come into something like Warrior 3, assisted with my hands on the floor. So fingertips on the floor, right foot reaches back for the belt, and then I drop my right knee onto the block. so that my knee is very bent. I almost have my heel on my glute there. So this will become available for you at whatever range you're at. You just have to listen to that quad. So now we want our left foot to be lunging forward. We're in something that resembles an assisted lunge, low lunge, or Anjaneyasana. Hands come to the heart center. Start to slide your left knee forward over top the ankle, maybe a little over top the foot. If you'd like to go a little higher, you can certainly sweep your hands up overhead, reaching that crescent lunge, maybe even adding a little arc in the back, reaching your fingertips back towards the wall. And then we'll come back up, sliding our hands down to the heart center and coming into a twist. Our right elbow will come to the outside of the left knee. Press into your palms, opening your chest and rotating through the mid-back. You can incorporate the neck there by looking up towards the ceiling over your left shoulder. Beautiful work. We'll bring ourselves down to the floor so that the left hand is on the inside of the left foot. And I usually have to scoop my left foot out just a little bit. And we'll walk the hands forward, coming into a lizard pose. Sinking through that right hip flexor, drawing it closer to the floor. Some people will like to rest their elbows on a bolster or blankets or blocks so that you can relax into the pose. And from here, we'll come into a half split posture. So walking, the hands back, lengthening that left leg, maybe even sliding it into alignment with that hip, and reaching your forehead, your third eye down towards your shin or your toe. Really feeling that left hamstring stretch there, but you might also feel your right quad quite a bit. So from here, let's come back to a lunge, point your right toe, and that lets go of the belt. And we'll slide our left foot back. And all you really have to do here is take your right knee off the block and send the block over in front of the left knee. First, I'm going to drop my left knee onto the block and lunge my right foot forward, helping myself into that warrior three where my left foot is reaching back for the belt. Dropping the left knee onto the block, it should be at the right position, and arranging the right foot and right knee into a lunge. We'll bring the hands up onto the right knee to get our balance here. Starting to feel that stretch in the left quad. Breathing. Hands together at heart center. Anjali Mudra. Sliding the right knee over top the foot, the ankle, maybe having to step your right foot a bit further out to get into the proper lunge for you. And then we'll slide or sweep our hands out and up over the head, maybe even adding a little mini back bend. Looking up, opening the chest. Hands will slide back down to heart center, bringing the left elbow to the outside of your right knee, pressing into your palms, opening the chest, perhaps even adding a rotation in your neck by looking up towards the ceiling. And from here, rotating the hands back down towards the floor and starting to walk the right foot out, walking the hands forward and coming into a really deep lizard lunge, like a runner's lunge. In yin yoga, it's known as dragon's pose, so maybe you rest your elbows on pillows or a bolster or blocks. Take a couple breaths and send some energy to wherever in your body you're feeling sensation. And from here, we'll walk our hands back on to the mat onto the floor into alignment with our right foot, rolling the bolster or sliding the pillows away, sliding your right foot back. Good. We're going to come up into kneeling and start to lengthen that right leg. So I actually have to slide my right foot forward onto the heel a little bit, slide it into alignment with my right hip, and then begin to fold forward, bringing my belly a bit closer to the right thigh, perhaps even pulling back on the right toes for extra stretch. And then from here, swing that leg around, bring it onto the floor, point your left toe, let go of the belt, get your block out of your way. We'll just send that out. And we'll do a couple traditional cats and cows. All right. From here, let's come up to standing. We'll get our blanket out of the way so that we don't slide anymore. We want to be stuck to the floor for the spinal rejuvenation sequence. So now we're going to slide or pull our belt up to about mid-thigh by gently pulling on the tails so that the belt raises a couple inches. Of course, if you need some extra cushion, you can always take a blanket over top the belt. And we'll start to lean over the belt, bringing our fingertips to the floor, and walking our heels back to the wall. Our toes are on the floor. So if this is a little bit too high for you, then you might come back up to standing and lower it down just half an inch or so until you find the right spot for your body. We want to really let go. The more that you can relax over the belt, the more benefit you will feel from the work that we do on the yoga wall. So try to let your head go, your arms, let your knees be soft so that gravity can lengthen the spine all the way through the entire back, but especially towards the lumbar and the hips and the sacroiliac joint. Bring your right hand into the floor, bend your right knee, straightening your left, and sweep your left hand up to the sky. Lean into your right shoulder so that you get a bit of a shoulder and underarm stretch. And then we'll bring our left hand to the floor, bend the left knee, straightening your right, sweeping your right hand up to the sky, and leaning a little bit into that left shoulder. Feeling that underarm, that rib cage. And then we'll release that right hand back down. Press into the wall, press into the hips, and roll your back straight up so that you come into something where you kind of feel like you're flying. This is what we call Bhujangasana or Cobra pose. So in Cobra pose, your hands would be flat on the floor and you're kind of peeling your heart up off the floor, looking ahead. You're activating your spine, activating through the glutes and the hamstrings. And we'll start to fold back forward, hands to the floor. Feet come onto the wall. I don't like it to come higher than on my wall, plate 1, but on a traditional wall, it's plate 2. So it's about 2 feet off of the floor. So we don't want to bring our feet any higher than about 2 feet off the floor. Lengthen your legs so that the belt does slide a little bit down your thighs. As long as your feet stay lower than the belt, you're safe. You're staying there. Make sure your feet are sticking to the wall today, and then start to just hang over the belt. Shake your head, yes and no, maybe so. Bring your right hand into the floor, bend your right knee, straighten your left. Sweep your left hand up to the sky, and lean a little bit into your right shoulder. If you'd like to make it more active, push into your feet equally, lifting your right hand off of the floor. Then we'll fold back forward, bringing our left hand down, bending the left knee, straightening the right, sweeping the right hand back up to the sky, and leaning into that left shoulder. Make it more active by pushing into your feet, activating your legs, and lifting away from the floor, and then rolling back down. Exhale. If you're feeling brave today, you can bring your hands to your heart and lift up into that plank position, that cobra pose. And we're all going to practice marching on the wall, just kind of marching in place, lifting one foot, lifting the other, one at a time, of course. We'll plant our left foot into the wall and press our right foot into our right calf, right foot into the left calf, left knee into the left inner thigh maybe. So we're in a tree pose. And then we'll drop our right foot back to the wall, plant it into the wall, push hard and lift your left foot. It could come up to your calf, your right knee, or right inner thigh. So you have to really work with those strong muscles in the bottom of your feet to keep you centered. We'll press our left foot back onto the wall and start to fold forward. Coming into child's pose next. So bending the right knee so that the top of the right foot and the right shin are on the wall, and then the left shin and foot on the wall, sliding your knees down, letting your elbows rest on the floor, letting your head just hang. Our last little bit of spinal traction here, so the hips are anchored in the belt, and then all the blood and all the gravity is pulling down on your spine towards the floor, towards your head. Bring the hands to the floor when you're done, and we'll meet doing cat and cow. So the hands are on the floor, the knees, the shins, and the toes are on the wall. And we're just kind of working with pelvic tilts in the belt. And from here, we're going to practice a wall lunge. So sweep your right leg around. I have to adjust that belt a little bit higher onto my hip. So now my right foot is on the wall with my knee bent. My left knee and shin are still on the wall. I'm just going to push into the wall a little bit, lift my hands to the heart, really activate the core here. If you want, you can reach your hands out away from the yoga wall. It takes a lot of core strength. Fingertips can come back down to the floor. Let's try it on the other side. So the right shin and knee come back to the wall. The left foot slides forward into a lunge. Maybe it has to kind of wrap around. And then find that stance, that posture, and start to lift your hands, pushing into the wall, pushing into the belt, maybe sweeping your hands out away from the wall. Drop the hands back down, knees come back towards the wall, slide the knees back down for one more round of child's pose. Plant the hands into the floor, tuck your toes under, and start to walk down the wall, coming back to your original downward facing dog with your heels on the wall, your toes on the floor, still inverted over the belt. Bring yourself up into cobra, pressing your heels into the wall, your hips into the belt, hands come up to the heart. Let your head drain out a little bit. There's a lot of blood in your brain right now. When you're ready, start to walk forward. And quickly bring yourself back so that your back is resting on the wall. We'll let ourselves just kind of relax here, come back into this space. We have 2 more postures here. So our next posture is a back bend. So we're going to turn around towards the wall and bring the belt up to the shoulder blades and start to walk back. Let the shoulders just drape back, let your heart open, let yourself do the opposite of everything we just did. We'll roll back up. And we're going to grab onto the strap. You want to make sure that your strap, your belt, is wrapped around your shoulder blades, so higher up on the back. Walk your feet up onto the wall, about plate 3 on a traditional wall, plate 2 on mine, so about 3.5 feet off the ground. We're going to walk our feet outward. Bend the knees into a wall frog, a squat. Keep your knees outward of the belt, outward of the strap so that you stay safe. Send your right leg straight up, your left knee is out, maybe in a Janu Sirsasana. Maybe your left leg slides up too, but you don't want your hips to go any higher than the belt. So then slide your legs down the wall so that you're coming into a wall forward fold. Reach for your toes. The belt should be wrapped around your ribs and your shoulder blades. The hips sliding down on the wall, lower than the belt, to create that hamstring tension. You can grab onto the back of the head and support your neck. But at any time, if it becomes too much, of course, please take yourself down. How you do that is pick a side. I'm going to the left. And I'm just going to let my legs come down, press onto the floor, and rappel away. Turn around into the belt. Bring your hands into the belt. Stretch through your arms, walking away from the wall. Stretch through your chest. Be careful not to banana back. So bring your tailbone into alignment with your heels. Bring your shoulders into alignment with your ears. So that you're just stretching through the chest. And we'll start to walk back. Our last posture in today's sequence is neck traction. So we're going to bring our belt back down to the original posture. I want to make sure I'm still recording here. I am. Okay. So grab your blanket and line it up with your belt, which is about 2 inches without weight off the floor, but with the pressure of your foot or your head about 1 inch off of the floor. So we're going to take ourselves down to the blanket and lay back so that your head does not hit the wall, and pull that belt out just a little bit so it lands under the back of your head. And then you can start to scoot yourself away from the wall so that it feels like your neck is being gently pulled on. And again, your hands can rest on your belly or out to the sides of your body. Your knees can be bent. Your knees can be straight. You can be in like a shavasana here. Try to gently tuck your chin towards the back of your throat so that the back of your neck is lengthening here. And we'll take some deep breaths, calm the breath back down to even and smooth and quiet. Visualize each inhale expanding the belly and the chest. And each exhale, relaxing the chest and the belly. Allowing yourself to become energized with each inhale and becoming more relaxed, more grounded with each exhale. For some of us, it might not feel like a lot is happening, but the back of the neck, each cervical vertebra, and maybe even some of your thoracic are starting to be pulled apart by gravity. Gravity pulling on your shoulder blades, on your body, while your head is suspended in this belt. Let your jaw release. From here, begin to reach your hands up for the belt and slide it off of the back of your head, gently laying your head back down onto the floor and letting the belt just fall back to the yoga wall. Returning your hands back down to your sides or onto your belly so that you can feel that beautiful flush of blood. It's almost like an icy hot flush go down the back of your neck, into the back of your head. Some people feel it in their jaw. Start to roll your head from left to right, back and forth. Just so the back of your head, the occiput, is rolling back and forth on the floor. Bringing awareness back into your neck. Shrug the shoulders up to your ears, drop them down, reach your arms out. Reach them up to the sky and flop them over you like you're giving yourself a hug. My left elbow's on top, so I'll remember that. Opening my arms out to the side, stretching wide, and now my right arm will be on top to give myself a hug. Reach the arms back out, rock the knees and the hips from side to side. Lengthen your legs completely and flex your toes back to your nose and point your toes out a couple times. And from here, you're welcome to remain where you are, or if your practice is finished, you can roll to a side and peel yourself up to seated. Returning to center yourself for just a moment, letting the shoulders drop away from the ears, rolling the head, the neck from side to side. Just bringing the body and the mind, the emotions back to the here and the now. Noticing how you might feel in the body. Thank you so much for joining me for this YogaWall tutorial with the pelvic belt. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll join me again next time. Namaste.